Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new series I will be starting on this channel. It will be a little like the state-by-state prediction series, but it will feature brand new graphics and focus solely on the 13 battleground states before the 2020 presidential election. The battlegrounds, as you can see in gray on the map on your screen, are Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Iowa, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, North Carolina, and Florida. I will be ordering the episodes of this series based on how quickly I believe they will be called on or after election night. And as you can probably tell by its classification in yellow, Florida will be the first state we cover. But before we get started, Joe Biden holds 213 electoral votes, and Donald Trump has 126 in the race to 270 from non-battleground states. But with all of that being said, let us get into election night in America, Florida edition for the 2020 presidential election between incumbent Republican President Donald Trump and former Democratic Vice President Joe Biden. We are moments away from our first results out of the Sunshine State, but first let's go over some key state statistics. Florida is the third most highly populated state in the country, with 21.5 million estimated residents in 2020. And because of its high population, Florida holds a massive 29 electoral votes, which are, for good reason, consistently treasured in presidential elections. And according to 2016 exit polls, independents outnumber both Republicans and Democrats. But it is very, very close, with 34% of registered voters identifying as independent to 33% as Republican and 32% as Democrats. Florida typically does have above average voter turnout as well, and they cast a large number of their votes early, 69% to be exact in 2016, and we expect that number to be even higher this year. And finally, so far, Democrats outnumber Republicans by 15% in mail-in ballot requests, but that is as to be expected given the political party's typical preferred style of voting. Now, as for the data we have from various sources, starting with the 2016 election results between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Trump defeated Clinton by 1.2 points, despite receiving a lesser portion of the vote than Mitt Romney did in 2012. However, that was all 4 years ago. So what does the data show for 2020? According to the Real Clear Politics polling average, Joe Biden has an exactly 2-point advantage over Donald Trump, and 538 has a very similar advantage for the former vice president at 2.2 points. So both of our polling sources indicate that Biden currently leads Trump within the margin of error. Now, in 2016, Clinton lost her lead in Florida in late October, so we'll have to see what happens with all of that. But now we move on to the forecasts. First is the 538 forecast, which gives Biden a 1.8 point lead, which is lower than both polling averages, but still is favoring Biden by a decent margin. And Joe Biden is also expected to receive 50.5% of the popular vote in Florida, which would actually be higher than Obama's winning number in 2012. As for the JHK forecast, they have Biden plus 1.9, but at a lower popular vote total, with 49.7% to Trump's 47.8%. And moving on, we have the Our Progress forecast, which has Biden ahead by his lowest number thus far, 1.1 points. Now, so far, there has been a lot of consistency with this data, as it has all fallen within 1.1 points of each other. But that is until we take a look at the ECONOMIST forecast, which has Biden ahead by his highest margin yet of 2.6 points. For their forecast, though, it is just a two-way race, so it doesn't take into account third parties. But anyways, that does it for all of the statistics regarding this race, and the polls have now closed, so let's go to our EP studios for an update. We've got some votes coming in out of Florida, and President Donald Trump has a commanding lead. This is very, very early though, as we expect over 10 million votes to have been cast by mail, early, and on election day statewide. But what we have in so far is only roughly 100,000 in-person votes. Remember though, Florida began counting mail-in ballots a full 3 weeks before the election, so those numbers could come in bulk at any second now. But taking a look at the county map we have for this race, just a few precincts have begun reporting in a few different counties. Historically speaking, the vote usually comes in later out of the Panhandle, which is where Trump will need to run up his numbers, just like he did in 2016, if he wants to win. So don't be at all surprised if Biden takes an early lead, especially from mail-in ballots in the metropolitan, Miami, Orlando, and Tampa areas. We are certainly in for a very long evening though, nonetheless. As expected, the early and mail-in vote is starting to come in very fast here. We've now got almost 60% of the expected vote in, and take a look at this. Joe Biden has a double-digit lead over the incumbent Donald Trump. He leads by over 720,000 votes at this moment, with 54.83% of the vote in his column to Donald Trump's 43.22%. This early lead for Joe Biden was expected though in Florida tonight, as Democrats largely outnumbered Republicans in vote by mail and early voting numbers. Hillary Clinton had a lead with around 70% of the vote in 2016. Granted, the circumstances are a lot different this time around, but it does go to show that an early blue lead is not unusual. And looking at the county map, we have results out of most counties across the state, except for most of the Panhandle and a few Republican counties in Central Florida. We are keeping our eyes on the results out of a few counties across the state as well, one of which is DUVAL County up in the northeastern part of the state. It is the 7th most populated county in the state, covering the Jacksonville metropolitan area. Donald Trump carried it by 1.4 points in 2016, but it did vote for both Democratic candidates for Governor Andrew Gillum and Senator Bill Nelson in the 2018 midterms. This is a county Biden is expected to outperform Clinton in, and he is so far, leading Trump by 1.7 points, with 89% of the estimated vote in. However, this is not all good news for Biden, as he is underperforming Andrew Gillum, who lost statewide by 2.7 points as of right now in DUVAL. Another one we are keeping our eye on is Pinellas County, the 6th most populated county in the state. It covers large parts of the Tampa, St. Petersburg, and Clearwater metropolitan areas, and similarly to DUVAL, Trump won by 1.1 points in 2016, but it voted for both Democratic candidates in 2018. And with a little under half of the vote in so far, Biden leads Trump by 4.5 points. If this holds, it would be a very promising sign for his campaign, as President Trump is counting on the Latino vote to help him overperform his 2016 numbers in metro areas like this, and help make up for losses in more rural and suburban areas. And on that same topic, Miami-Dade, which makes up over 1/10 of the vote in Florida, is the county in which Trump must overperform as a result of the Latino population. And so far, so good for that plan. Hillary Clinton carried 63.7% here in 2016, which is a full 2 points higher than Biden's total right now. Not only that, but Clinton beat Trump by over 290,000 votes here 4 years ago, and Biden only leads by less than 230,000. That would be a net 60,000 vote swing if it holds, which would be monumental for Trump's re-election chances. However, there still is 23% of the vote out there left to be reported, so we'll check in later. Now, Lee County, on the other hand, with its majority white and older population, gave Trump his biggest win in 2016 of any county in Florida. But he is currently underperforming by almost 2 points. Biden will need counties like this to shift towards him if the numbers from Miami-Dade hold true. And looking back at Florida as a whole, with a few counties in the Panhandle starting to report results, we now have 61% of the estimated vote in, and Biden's lead has tightened by over a full percentage point. This race could get very interesting sooner rather than later. With 79% of the estimated vote total in, Biden's lead has been cut down to below 200,000 votes and just 2.3 percentage points. It is getting very close here in Florida, with turnout already off the charts. All but a few counties in the northern part of the state have at least begun reporting results from their precincts, but we still have over 20% of the vote out there, which equates to roughly 2 million votes. There are 3 large counties outside of the Panhandle, ranked 9th, 10th, and 11th in population, where there is still a lot of vote for Donald Trump to make up ground in. First, in BREVARD County, only 17% of precincts are reporting, and Trump won by 60,000 votes in 2016. Then in POLK County, a little over a third of the vote is in, but Trump won here by 40,000 votes 4 years ago. And finally in PASCO County, we've got just over half of the vote in, but there is still about 30,000 more for Trump here as well. And there is only more good news for the incumbent. There's not a lot of vote left in big Biden areas, like Miami-Dade here. Almost all of the vote is in, and it looks like Biden will indeed underperform Clinton by about 1.5 points. Then in Broward County, located just above Miami-Dade, it is the second most populated county, and Biden is overperforming Clinton just slightly. But with 88% in, there is not a lot of vote left there for the Biden campaign to pick up. And just as we take one more look at Florida statewide, Biden has dropped to below 50%, to 49.8%, to Trump's 47.8%. Ultimately, it is a race against time at this point for both candidates. We have another key race alert out of Florida, and the former vice president's lead has now dipped below 100,000 votes, with 90% reporting. 49.07% of the vote remains in his column to Donald Trump's 48.36%. There appears to be a lot of nervous tension going on at both campaign headquarters right now, and rightfully so, because that 10% is a lot when keeping the scope of Florida's population in mind. The bottom line is this: Biden's 68,000 vote lead is extremely overtakeable for Donald Trump as of right now, given the amount of vote that is still coming in from the Panhandle, of which there are 3 counties to be exact. The first is Okaloosa. Trump won by almost 50,000 votes here in 2016, and there is only 4% of the vote in. And next is Santa Rosa. Only 11% is in there, and he also won by roughly 50,000 votes last time around. And finally, we have Bay County. Almost half of the vote is in, but Trump won by 40,000 in 2016, so there is still about 10,000 left for him to gain here. And with 96% of the vote in, President Donald Trump has taken the lead in the state of Florida by 33,000 votes. It's looked inevitable for quite some time now, and he has finally taken back the lead over Joe Biden. He may only be up 0.34 percentage points, but it is hard to see any scenario in which he gives it up now. And another thing I wanted to point out as well is that Trump has actually climbed all the way back in Pinellas County and actually outperformed himself as compared to 4 years ago. If the results statewide hold, the storylines will be focused on how the Latino population in these metro areas have made up for Trump what he lost among older white voters here in 2020 against Joe Biden. President Donald Trump is the projected winner in the state of Florida. He will carry the state's 29 electoral votes. This is a huge win for the incumbent and for his chances at re-election. Realistically, there was no path to 270 electoral votes for him without winning Florida, so it was an absolute must-win for him. With 99% of the vote in, he leads Biden by 47,000 votes and 0.45 points. It is incredibly close, and there will more than likely be an electronic recount conducted as you take a look at the county map one final time here as well. In a race that broke all turnout records in the state of Florida, both candidates received way more votes than their party's predecessors. And as for the updated race to 270, Donald Trump is now at 155 electoral votes to Joe Biden's 213. We still have 12 battleground states left to cover before Election Day, and the next one in this series will be Texas. But I hope you all enjoyed this coverage of election night in America. If you did, please make sure to like the video down below and subscribe to the channel while you're at it, so you never miss any of my videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and tune in next time. EP out.